Hey, y'all, welcome back. Called to Coaching. This is episode 8 with Mr. Rendell Cole. Coach Cole's been an administrator, a teacher, a coach. He's retired. He is in the Powerlifting Hall of Fame. Coach Cole has got 3 boys that are all coaches, so the influence he has had on kids is immeasurable, not only in his own career, but in the careers of his kiddos, his sons that are all coaches. So it's such a great time to get to sit down with Coach Cole. Jolene was so nice enough to let me steal him for an hour. The weather was bad, so he had to stay home. He wasn't on the golf course. It was just like the perfect storm. And he's got so many great stories. And listen, that dude knows how to spin a yarn. He knows how to tell a story. It's so good. And it was really fun to get to sit down and visit with him. So, on to the next part. MW Outdoor Power and Engine Repair. Hey, run by and see them guys. It's 212 West Broadway here in Sulphur. That phone number is 580-622-4799. They've got bad boy mowers. They've got chainsaws, weed eaters. They do auto repair there in the muffler shop. They can put on all your accessories. They can change your oil. They can also fix you up for your weekend tailgating, your holiday cooking, Traeger flat tops, smokers, grills, the whole thing. And plus they've got all the accessories, anywhere from the wood pellets to the barbecue sauce. They can start you off, they can finish you off. So go by and see my friends there at MW Outdoor Power and Engine Works, and go by and tell Edie and Luke that I sent you. And I appreciate y'all's support. I also got a really good buddy, Mr. Gary Ashford. Hey, Gary, thank you so much for supporting our podcast and supporting what we do. And I really appreciate it. It's an honor for me. And anytime that anybody comes up and says they're enjoying this podcast, man, it just makes my day. So thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoy it. Coach Cole is phenomenal. So here we go. Coach Cole. So, all right. Well, this is, I think this is episode 8 now. Of Called to Coaching. So we're here with
Yogi Berra.
Yeah, there we go. I should have known it had been a baseball reference. You guys are kind of a baseball family.
Well, if you notice, one of my son's name is Cleet.
Yes, sir.
So I'm a Yankee fan.
Yeah.
Grew up loving the Yankees. And my first one, born, Jolene says, we are not naming the kid Cleet. So we got Corey. Then it came down to the second one, and she was wanting a girl, and it ended up being a boy, and she says, okay, fine. So that's how Cleet got his name, because I played third base in high school.
Yeah.
Won a state championship, all that kind of stuff. And Cleet Boyer was my hero, because I played third base for the Yankees.
Let's go.
So that's how I got him.
So that's where that come from.
That's where it came from.
And now he's a character in a John Grisham novel.
Yes, yes. I like John Grisham.
Was the C, was that like a, y'all just gonna, all the boys gonna have a C?
No, it just started out that way because she liked the name Corey.
Yeah.
And so there was Corey. Then I wanted Cleet. And then the third one was going to be a C then. She said, okay, we're going to C.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you notice, my grandkids all C, except for Kurt. You know, I told him he's a little different than my other two. And he...
Because he's got all the granddaughters.
He got 2 daughters, yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's go back. You talked about playing third base. Where'd you grow up at?
Here in Sulphur.
Right here in Sulphur.
Sulphur, America.
Yeah.
I grew up here, I went to school here all the time. We had a coach by the name of Nigel King that's in the Hall of Fame for high school sports and college sports.
Oh, wow.
Because he coached in college after he left here. And we won a state championship my junior year. I played third base. We had 7 starters back for the next year. And we get beat the game before the state tournament.
Oh, no.
2-1 in extra innings, and the team that beat us was Fort Cobb. They ended up winning state and just running away with it.
So that was the state game right there, the game before the state tournament.
Yeah, we had bad luck that game, but, you know.
Yeah.
You always want to think that you're better than everybody else. But that was that.
That's kind of a Murray County thing, I think. I don't know if a team ever really shows up from this county that thinks they ain't got a chance.
You betcha.
You know.
Just is like I was talking to Caden a while ago when he was here, and I said, hey, and he starts telling me all these things that we can do, and I said, that's what I want to hear.
Exactly. That's what I love about it. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of times I tell kids that, you know, there's teams that are beat when they show up
Yes.
because they're just worried about not what we can do, but what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You know, and they're beat when they show up.
Yeah.
But I don't never feel that about a Murray County, you know, Davis kid.
I understand, man. You know, I can tell you a lot of stories about Davis, you know, playing against them. Now, I only played against them one time
Really?
because that was my sophomore year was the year that the Davis kids and the Sulphur kids got in trouble for throwing eggs and rocks.
Oh, no.
And we didn't play for 6 years.
Oh, wow. That's
Didn't
really.
play for 6 years.
And that was just did the administration just decide like, hey, all
That's
right,
exactly
you
right.
can't
They
act
said,
right,
hey,
we don't get to play.
If you can't act right, guys, that's what you do.
I did not know about
Oh,
that.
yeah. That was 1964
Yeah?
was the last time we played them for 6 years.
Oh, my gosh. I did not know about that.
Yep. Yeah.
So did they just get caught in town or?
Oh, yeah. The police got some.
Oh,
arrested
no.
them, yeah.
Oh, no.
Some of my friends, I might have been with them. Might have.
Maybe.
Yeah, my memory.
I mean,
kinda
you know,
fades.
it's been a minute. It's
And
been a few. You've
they
slept
got
a few
picked up
times.
too. We had, Davis kids get picked up in Sulphur, and Sulphur kids get picked up in Davis.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So there was no denying what was
No,
going on.
there was no
Like,
denying. And then
yeah.
after that, when we started back, each town would have their full police force ready,
Oh, yeah.
and they would even have a highway patrol out in between Sulphur and Davis. And if they saw a bunch of kids, they'd turn you around and make you go back home.
Yeah. I remember when I was in high school, them telling us it was Halloween, you know. And if you're caught out of town, you're in trouble. It's
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah.
And that was in 98, 99, you know, right in there.
Yeah.
And they did not mess with that.
Yeah. Nope.
I think that we're safe. I mean, it's been a few years since back then. But I was just thinking, what do you think it'd be like today if all that happened?
Well, see, they wouldn't be able to play.
Yeah.
You know, and when I came back to Sulphur's high school principal, I about got thrown out of town the first year I was here. Because I started in talking to, I was high school principal, and I started talking to the superintendent about doing something to get Sulphur and Davis combined.
Yeah.
Either build a new school out there.
Right in the middle.
And I said, or, you know, have Davis kids come to here for one school and the high school kids go there, or they come here, you know, just separate,
Yeah.
and combine.
Oh.
Because, you know, we were 2A and they were A, and it was a situation where they were great and we had good ball players, and we could have been a really good team for several years in every sport.
I've
every sport.
always thought that if they combined out there on Midway Hill and put a high school.
That's where I said to build it. That's
Golly.
where I wanted it.
I
And
mean-
Murray County would have one school, and everybody would come here.
One
you know.
school and a lot of golden trophies.
Oh, I guarantee you.
In everything, including sports.
You bet.
You know, sports, band, the whole thing. I mean, we've got some amazingly talented kids that have come out of this county.
You bet.
And I just might have my red colored glasses on, you know, but golly, we've had some
But
athletes.
that's a good thing to have on.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember one year somebody came over and wrote a SHS in our field. And you know how Coach Raper loved his football fields, you know.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote a SHS, but they wrote one of the S's backwards. And so we were like, of course, you know. But I was convinced that it was probably some of our own kids that just didn't like the football team.
Yeah. You know, when I wasn't playing, but I was in junior high, and I was at the Sulphur Davis game here in Sulphur. And the Davis band was playing. And two Sulphur kids, who I will not mention, ran out on the field and had a dead fox in a rope and threw it over the goalpost.
Oh, my gosh.
And then they take off running to get out of there. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you so many stories about what went on back then. It's not even funny.
The kids nowadays don't I mean, they still feel that rivalry and everything, but they all know each other way more than we did back then.
Dating from Sulphur and Davis,
Yeah.
that happens now, and people have buddies from over there, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
But back in my day, you didn't mess with them.
No way.
In fact, if you met up with them, you'd get in a fight.
Yeah.
And I've been in a couple of fights with Davis people. I don't want to get into that, but
I dated Sulphur girls, so that I could make the Davis girls mad, and then they might like me too.
Yeah, I
Have a
got you.
strategy. But then when I got out of high school, I realized that because I went over to Ada and realized the Sulphur guys were basically the exact same as me.
Exactly.
I mean, me and Josh Billings became great friends in college because he liked to do everything I do.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
we were just the same, cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
So,
when I left Sulphur, I had a scholarship to go to Bacon.
yeah.
Never heard of it. Didn't even know where it was. We had a guy named Joe Exendine that was big in the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Yeah.
He was the second highest guy at that time, and he was my junior high coach here in Sulphur, America, Joe Exendine. And he called me and says, I want you to go to Bacon. And I never heard of it. And he says, I know the guy. Well, guess who the coach was? Enos Seymour, who ended up at OU.
Oh, wow.
And when he went to OU, I declined it, and they had offered me, and I declined it. And then my high school coach, Nigel King, the one I told you, got the job. And he said,
perfect.
"Come on up." So I go up there, and they just won the national championship. Bacon did in junior college, and so I go up there. We go back. Now, we don't win it. I'm playing in left field, and our pitcher, who's 7-0, we're playing in Arkansas in the playoffs, and he throws a curveball, and I heard his arm snap in the outfield.
Oh.
And he falls to the ground. He's out. So we lose him. Then we go to Grand Junction, Colorado. Actually, it's the night before. We stayed 2 nights, Amarillo, and then we went to New Mexico. Then the second night, we're in the motel room. We're 18, 19 years old kids. I mean, we're just kids.
Yeah.
And so there's 4 to a room, and I ended up with like 8 in my room. And we started playing King on the Mountain on a bed.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm not going to say who, but somebody throws the pitcher who's going to start the next day off, and he broke his arm.
Oh, my gosh.
And he was 10-0. So we go to the College World Series, and we lose 2 kids that are 17-0.
Oh, no.
We were 33-3.
Oh, my goodness.
And we get beat. We don't play well. But it was amazing.
Yeah, the 2 nights when you said that, I was like, something bad's gonna happen here. I can tell it. So is that where you graduated from?
Oh no, it's a junior college.
So you went your 2 years of junior college?
1 year, and then I went to East Central.
Okay.
And I played ball over there.
Yeah.
And man, I've got some stories because Coach King was my high school basketball coach and baseball coach, and he was just like, never raised his voice. And if he looked at you and gave you that look, you knew you'd done something wrong, and you tried to do better. And you just wanted to play well for him.
Yeah.
So then I go to East Central, and they've got a guy that I loved him. I mean, I got along well with him. Let me give you an example. It's my first year there, and I'm playing first base. And we're playing against Southeastern, which is a big rivalry. Big rivalry.
Yeah.
And we was playing them early in the year. And I'm on first base, and they had an All-American shortstop that was from Latta. And Sulphur and Latta used to play a lot of baseball against each other. And anyway, he comes in, they're going to pick him off. The pitcher throws over there, and he makes a low throw. It's in the dirt and towards the runner. And I reached down to get it, and when he did, he didn't slide. He just came in and just threw an elbow up. Well, I caught the ball, and I take the ball out, and I'm fixing to hit him, and I thought, no, because Coach King, you didn't do that.
Yeah.
So, okay. And I throw back the pitcher. Innings over. I start running in the dugout. I'm on first base, third base dugout. It's home field. He's meeting me at the chalk line. And I thought, that's nice of him. He's going to come in and tell me, thank goodness you did a good job. You didn't cause a problem.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say some of the words he said, but he said, if he ever does that to you, you take that baseball and you put it in his teeth. And I said, all right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And then he got me up there a few weeks later. First time up, he was assistant basketball coach, and we'd been practicing out there. Didn't have an assistant. We just went out there on our own.
Yeah.
And we're practicing, and he's going to start me on first base. He'd never seen me play or anything, and we'd worked out just a little bit, and I hadn't seen his temperament or anything yet. And in the first time up, I hit a 3-run shot. I hit a 3-run home run. I'm rounding third, and he meets me halfway down the line, and he says, way to go, way to go. And he couldn't remember my name. And he goes, Sulphur. My Eastern letter jacket that I have up in my attic, it has Randy on it because he never did he never could say Rendell. He never knew, and just never did. But
is Rendell a family name?
No.
Because you don't hear that name a bunch.
No.
No.
My mother said she got it out of a book.
Well, there you go.
And that's what, because
Yeah.
Randall,
Yeah.
with the A's in there, but not 2 E's.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody with that same name.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so coming up that line of coaches, Coach King and all them, do you think anybody would be the main influence that got you into coaching?
It'd be Coach King.
Coach King was?
Yeah, when I love sports, and when I was in the 8th grade, they had a deal where they'd say, what do you want to be when you grow up? What's your dream job?
Yeah.
And then the next thing was, if that doesn't happen, what do you think you're going to end up doing?
Yeah.
Well, my deal was, it was baseball season. It wasn't football or basketball season, it was baseball. So I
Yeah.
wanted to be a pro baseball player. And
Yeah.
they said, what do you think you want to do if none of that happened? I said, I'll coach. So in 8th grade, I said, I'm going to be a coach.
Yeah, and that was it.
And that was it.
So how close did you come to being that pro baseball player?
Oh, one time I had another guy that did play pro baseball who I coached with. He knew the scout, and he was at a game one time. And I played against him, and he was a senior and I was a sophomore.
Yeah.
And he hit 3 home runs that day against us.
Golly.
Against another all-state pitcher from Sulphur.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And I was first of all, just fastball. We'll just challenge him, see how good he is. Well, he just jacks it. Then the next time I said, okay. And this kid was good, and he had a good curveball. No, he hits it over the left field fence.
Ooh.
Then he had a knuckleball that he would throw the knuckle, and as soon as he released it, I'd turn and run to the fence to get it because I couldn't catch it. he hit that for a home run. He had 3 home runs in one game. But anyway, I played. We were pretty good buddies, and he meets this guy, and he says, and he was helped sign this guy, and he said, how close, the state championship team, Sulphur, and he said, tell me on there who was pretty good. Didn't tell him that it was me. And he said, well, they're third baseman. And he said, he could hit and he could run.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I kept him away. And he said, well, I watched him after that in college, and he didn't do very much. So that was it.
Man.
So at least.
But you showed up on a scout's radar.
I showed up a little bit.
That's
but
something.
We had 2 or 3 others that did too.
Yeah. That were really good.
Yeah, we had. I told you we won the state championship
Yeah.
in my junior year, and there's 7 of us that were coming back the next year, all 7 played some type of ball in college, either
That's
football.
awesome.
Nobody played basketball or baseball.
Yeah. Football or baseball.
Football or baseball.
That's a huge number.
It is.
I mean,
it's for a little school. You know,
well, yeah.
we were Class B back then.
Jeez.
Class B.
And
Of course,
back
they wasn't
then-
all the way through 6A like there is now.
Yeah. Well, and back then, going to college wasn't a big a thing as it is now. I mean,
Exactly.
golly, there's a million colleges that have sports programs now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back then, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now either. I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, that's right.
So when you're at East Central and you're obviously playing sports, you're playing baseball, and you're starting your coaching, or you're starting leaning towards coaching. What was kind of your goal? What was kind of your plan heading out of East Central? Did you have one much or?
No, I knew I wanted to coach and I knew I wanted to teach.
Yeah.
And they used to have those deals where they, at the end of the year, and my senior year, I'd go out there and these recruiters would come in.
Yeah.
Most of them for out of state, locally, but these are out of state. So I'm walking down the sidewalk at East Central, and another guy I played baseball at East Central with, he's a senior, and good buddy of mine, and I'm walking one way, he's walking the other, and I said, hey, let's go to the rec center and shoot some pool. And he goes, and he was dressed up, and he said, well, I'm going over here, got an interview. And I said, who are you going to interview? And he said, oh, we got these Texas schools coming in, and I knew he was going to coach, And he says, I tell you what, if you go with me, I'll shoot pool. I said, all right, you're done.
Let's go.
So we go in there. We both end up signing the contract with Texas. I get in there and I just start talking, because
Yeah.
I'm not nervous. I hadn't been thinking about it. And next thing I know, he goes, here's your contract. For what school? Well, we won't know what school it is until the very end of the year and see who leaves, but you're hired.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then.
I
So back
get a
then,
phone
you
call.
just sign a contract with the state, and they'll put you somewhere.
with the school.
Yeah. So
Lubbock.
Oh, okay.
It was at Lubbock School, so
Okay.
it was.
Okay. I got you.
It was Lubbock, but I could have gone to Lubbock. But
Oh man.
well, and then Jolene and I were married.
Yeah.
We
I
got
was
married-
just about to ask you when that started.
We got married my senior year in college.
Yeah.
We started liking each other when I was in 7th grade and she was in 6th grade. So that's all the way through.
And that y'all started hanging out when you were in the 7th grade.
Yep.
And y'all stayed together through
Yep.
today.
And through today.
Which, by the way, I was told beforehand that Cleet said, you need to get my mom on there.
She would never do it. She would never do it.
I've heard some pretty good stories about her getting people in the stands, and
Oh.
she's kind of the boss.
Oh, I tell you what. Yeah. I mean, she followed me.
Oh, my gosh.
My first year out of college, I signed a contract with Dixon.
Yeah.
Never played football. I started their program.
They had never played football
They
at
had
Dixon?
never played football. And I'm 22 years old, just graduated from college, and I had signed a contract with them. And no uniforms, no pad, nothing.
Oh, my gosh.
They had some pads that Ardmore somebody just donated,
Yeah.
and they weren't very good, but
Yeah.
There was
Beats
something.
nothing, I guess.
so I had to order everything. So I don't know about stuff,
Yeah.
about uniform stuff. So I called my old buddy John Dunlap,
Yeah.
who was in high school. He waited on us, and then he did East Central stuff. So I got to know him all through the year. So I called old John. And old John came down there, and he did it right. He goes, you need to spend money on this. You can slack off on this. And we didn't even have a field. So for 2 years, we played away games.
Yeah.
We never had a home game because of no field. And so Dixon didn't have any money back
Yeah.
then. And they would, I get there, and I just order white jerseys because we're going to play away.
Yeah, we're going to play away for 2 years.
And I get it. John took care of me and got it all situated. First year, 9th grade, had never played. We were 3-3-1.
Hey.
And I had one assistant that was a line coach.
Yeah.
He played football at East Central, and he played football at Ada High.
Yeah.
And I just gave him the line, and I took the backs. And that's the way it was. We had 2 guys, and we did a real good job that year. You know who the first team we ever beat was?
Oh no,
Davis.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, we played Sulphur Davis, Medill, Tishomingo, at Plainview. Plainview started a new school. I started football that same year.
Really? So what year was that?
1971.
71. Okay.
And we get things started, and I coached baseball. My first salary, I was a head football coach, assistant high school boys coach, head junior high boys coach, head 7th and 8th grade boys coach, 7th and 8th grade girls coach, and I assisted high school girls coach. And then I was head baseball coach. Made $500 for coaching all that.
Oh my gosh!
Wow, that first check I got, I thought, man, I'm
rich.
rich. I picked this. Man, I picked the superintendent. I signed for $6,500.
Yeah.
$6,000 for teaching, $500 for coaching. And the superintendent called me in about July and says, "Hey, teachers got a raise from the state." Okay, you got $100 raise. So I went from $6,500 to $66. Jolene comes in from work that day. She was a beautician. She comes in to work. I'd worked in the park for 6 summers to make money through high school and college. Anyway, she comes in and I said, "Honey, I picked the right profession. I already got a raise and I hadn't done anything yet." But I go from one of the poorest districts in Oklahoma to, at that time, the richest district, which was Conowall.
Yeah.
And
Because of the power plant?
because of the power plant.
Yeah.
And all the new facilities had just been built, and
Yeah.
and it was a 2A, at that time as A, but became a 2A school.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you.
Tell that story how you ended up at Conowall.
Okay.
You've told me this one before, but
Yes.
for everybody else, because I love this story.
Well, I'd gone into the superintendent at Dixon after 3 years, and we'd just gone 6-4
Yeah.
at high school. And I just went in there and told him that there's some things that need to be done for us to ever have a football team here at Dixon. And none of it was money for me or my assistant. It was just, no, I did ask for a raise for my assistant, but no money for me. But I just needed some things done.
Yeah.
And it all involved money. And I loved my superintendent, Ernest Moore. He's a great guy, and he just says, "Mr. Cole, I can't do any of that for you. We don't have the money."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, when I signed on, I told you I'd stay here until the first group graduated. I said, I'll be here 2 more years, and then I'm going to leave." Had no plans, had no options, nothing. And it was the last year, and the football season was over, and Carl Melson from Sulphur, Oklahoma,
Yeah.
who'd moved around a little bit, just took the job at Conowall. And he'd tried to get me to come to his place before. He tried to get me to come to Sulphur
Yeah.
when I was at Dixon, but I told him, too many people remember me when I was in high school. Probably need to wait a little bit. Well, he goes to Conowall, and he says, "Rendell, it's a great place. I want you to come up here and be my assistant." And I said, "Carl, you move all the time, and I'm not a mover." And I said, I don't need that. And he said, "Rendell, this is utopia. This is money. It's unbelievable. You need to come here, and I'm staying." I said, "Okay." I said, "First of all, how do you get to Conowall?" He's going to have me interview,
Yeah.
So I drive up there, and I walk into high school. He's at the secretary's outer office on the phone, and he's talking to Hobbs, New Mexico. He was just fixing to go to Hobbs, New Mexico on the day that I'm going up there. So he hangs up, and we start talking. And he says, "Rendell, I'm sorry, but I'm going to Hobbs." And he says, you know, you can have this job. And I said, well, you know, don't know who's going to be head coach, anything like that.
Yeah.
Make a long story short, I make short stories long. But the guy that took his place was Ron Newby.
Yes, sir.
And so I called Ron, and I said, Ron, Carl offered me the job. I said, but you're your own man. You got your own people. And I said, just take my name out of the hat. I'm fine. And he goes, Rendell, I don't have anybody. I don't know of anybody that really wants you. Why don't you come up here and talk to me? So I did and got the job, and that's how I ended up at Conwall.
Did you know Coach Newby before that?
Yes, we played ball against each other in high school.
Yeah.
And he played football at East Central. We're the same age.
Yeah.
Well, I was playing baseball, so
Okay.
I knew him.
So you knew him.
I knew him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's he's got quite a, I mean, there's quite a coaching tree between you two,
Well,
you and Coach Newby.
especially Coach Newby. Yeah, he leaves there. We had just played in the state championship against Fox,
Yeah.
and we're playing in Wynnewood, Oklahoma.
And that's back when the Fox had
Fox was
some
talented.
teams.
But anyway, Newby comes in.
Did you just say y'all played the state championship in Wynnewood?
Okay, let me tell you the story behind that.
Yeah.
Back then, they tried to get you halfway.
Oh, like a real life halfway.
Yes.
Okay.
Not now where you go to the city or Tulsa.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a
Yeah.
state championship. Well, anyway, state first said, we'll play in Sulphur. And, of course, I wasn't the head coach, so they're talking to Newby, and they're talking to Fox, and then Fox remembered that I'm from Sulphur. And they said, no, we're not playing in Sulphur. So on Tuesday, they changed it from Sulphur to Wynnewood.
Oh, wow.
So that's how Wynnewood got state championship.
That is awesome. I wish we still did that a little bit.
Oh.
That'd be a blast.
No, yeah. I mean, you'd have more people there.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, really
100%.
would. Especially the people in that surrounding area of the neutral side.
Absolutely, because, I mean, you're going to get some draw off of everybody. Because right now we play all our playoff games in Oklahoma City against Oklahoma City schools. Yes.
But then Newby, the next week, I'm visiting with him, not thinking that anything was going on. He said, Rendell, I'm leaving. I said, what? He said, I'm going to Marlow. And
Going home.
He said, I want you to come with me. And he had offered me, I should have known that he was thinking about leaving because he had been offered a job earlier in the year, that we were played in the state finals, to go to Wynnewood.
Oh,
He
wow.
wanted me to go to Wynnewood.
And Wynnewood has some good programs back then, too.
Yes. And I said, Ron, I really don't want to. I love it here. And he didn't even think anything about it, and then he said that.
What, was Coach Newby a Lindsay boy?
A Lindsay
right?
boy.
Okay.
Played
okay.
football against him.
And then I was thinking of Josh, because Josh played at Marlow.
Marlow.
Right? Okay.
Yes, that's where
I said going home,
coaching.
but that was home for
Yeah.
Josh was at Marlow.
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
Coach Newby is from Lindsay.
But
Okay.
anyway, I was a head baseball coach, and Conwall was one of the richest districts in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I go up there as a baseball coach, and the baseball field was pathetic. And they go, Rendell, we want to build you a new field. What do you want? And I walk out there every day, and I check the sun at like when the ball game would be starting.
Yeah.
And I'd walk it, and I'd do all this stuff, and I did it all by myself, had it all mapped out, and I went in and told him exactly what I wanted. And he goes, done. And I said, only one drawback. On the baseball field in town. They had another one, but it was a little league.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want kids playing up here. I said, I want kids playing baseball, but not with the 60-foot bases where you cut through the grass, because I wanted a grass infield.
Yeah.
And back then, hardly anybody had a grass infield, and I wanted a grass infield. And he goes, fine. They built 2 more fields right next to it for Little League.
For the Little
for
League.
Little
and all
League.
that stuff.
We had 5 gyms.
Oh, my gosh.
When I became the head coach, the practice field we practiced on was not very good. So they built me another one, and they built a track around it, and and stands, and that's the track would run up there, you know, and wouldn't even go on my football field. I mean, it was unbelievable. They just,
Yeah.
you know, I became a principal there. I was a principal 7 years there, and still coached. I was junior high principal.
Yeah.
They'd call you in at the end of the year and say, hey, look, we got to spend money. Because, you know, if you got money from the state, if you didn't use it, you had to give it back.
Yeah.
It still goes on today.
Yeah.
And they'd go, and it was unbelievable stuff we had. My football uniforms, 3 pants, 3 jerseys. I furnished everything. Cleats, I gave you a practice pair, and I gave you a game pair.
Oh, wow.
And then you had 3 different game pants. We had practice pants, of course, practice shirts, a couple different practice shirts, you know. It was unbelievable the things that we had. I'd have people call me, you know, because if you think of 3 sets of jerseys and 3 sets of bottoms,
Yeah.
and you switch them,
Oh, you can mix
it
it
was
up.
orange and black and white,
Yeah.
and you switch them up. I had a coach one time call me and say, I've got your film. Back then, you know, you swap film.
Yeah, absolutely.
He said, I don't know which one is you. Because one week, you know, I had on a different, you know, we'd like swap 3 weeks, you know.
Yeah.
I'd have 3 different uniforms. He said, man, I just can't tell which one you are.
That sounds like a pretty good strategy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're wearing black jerseys, orange jerseys, white jerseys. 3 different films. Figure it out.
Yeah. But Corey was born in when we were in Dixon.
Yeah.
And then Jolene was pregnant with Cleet when we left to go to Cornwall. And so Cleet and Kurt were born in Cornwall.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed coaching. And I've also seen coaches stay in there too long.
Yeah.
And I was one of those coaches that when my boys started getting up there, and Corey was fixing to be in the 9th grade, and I had offers to come back to Sulphur to be a principal because I was a principal there, and I didn't do it. And then I thought, I can handle coaching my kids. My kids can handle me coaching them.
Yeah.
But you don't know whatever the townspeople are going to say.
Yeah.
I'm kind of seeing some of that right now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
anyway, I told my wife, I said, I'm not going to coach my kid. And she was disappointed. And I want you, know, blah, 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 because we had a lot of success.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sulphur called me again when we come back, high school principal, and I said, I'm there.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. So
And when you came back, you didn't coach anything?
Nope. No.
At first?
No. I did. My brother, Daryl,
Yes.
was one of them that where they needed help, he'd go.
Yeah.
He was a head baseball coach at
Yeah.
one time. He was head basketball coach at one time. People don't remember that.
Yeah.
They had a guy leave late in the year, and he took over, or early in the year, and he took over. And so anyway, there was 2 people I called when they offered me the job. And one of them was Daryl,
Yeah.
because he was teaching there. And I said, Daryl, I won't come home because I'm going to be the principal and you're teaching in the high school. And
Yeah.
I don't want to. And he'd go, Rendell, I don't have a problem there. Come on home.
That's
So
awesome.
anyway, we came home. And never regretted it.
Hey, I'm going to miss this year. One of the biggest things I'm going to miss is we tore down the gym here in Sulphur. And I got to run the clock during basketball.
Yes.
And Uncle Darryl kept the books.
Yeah.
And we've almost been thrown out of games. If it wasn't for Cleet, we would have been. I love giving Darryl and giving him a hard time and listening to him get the officials. I mean, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
you know?
he does.
He's a lot of fun. Yeah. So he went to coach of baseball. You come here to be a principal.
And
the
then,
boys all grew up here.
And they didn't have a junior high program.
Yeah.
And so I've got a 9th grader, a 7th grader. Of course, Corey was a 9th grader. He started for the varsity.
Yeah.
All 4 years in baseball. But anyway, Cleet was going to be a 7th grader. They didn't have a junior high team.
Yeah.
And I go, that's got to change, Daryl. He said, well, what do you want to do? And he didn't have an assistant. And he said, well, I can't do that. And I said, I know you can't. I'll help you.
Yeah.
What? I said, I'll help you. So I helped Daryl the whole time, and we started a junior high program.
Yeah.
And so,
what was it like coaching with your brother? Did you love it?
we didn't have any issues.
Yeah.
I mean, A lot of times, if there was a certain thing that you said or did or wanted to call, and the head coach and his, sometimes the assistant get into it.
Yeah.
We never did that. We never had an issue like that.
Yeah.
Because if I had something to suggest, I'd suggest it, and he'd either take it or reject it. And if he took it and it worked, it was great. And if it didn't work, he didn't blast me.
Yeah.
And if he rejected it, I didn't blast him.
Yeah.
We just threw it out there. I only got thrown out of one game that I was an assistant.
How'd you get thrown out?
And he just laughed. He just laughed.
Well, I see your boys do it now, and I can sit and listen. I mean, I talk to Cleet pretty much all day, every day. I talk to him all the time. And I can sit and listen to him talk football, and he'll say, well, I might suggest that to Corey, And I'll go up there every now and then on Sundays and watch them break down film. I've been up there once, and it was awesome to watch them, because it sounds like just you and Uncle Darryl. Sounds like exactly like them. I mean, they go back and forth, and I just love I go to a lot of coaches' offices, and I love a coach's offices where there's back and forth.
Yeah,
that's the successful coach's office.
That's what you got to have.
Yeah,
because if you try to do it all yourself, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, that's so. You got grandsons playing.
Okay.
You've had granddaughters playing.
I still have one granddaughter playing.
Yeah, you still get to go to Whitesboro and watch one granddaughter play.
Yeah.
And we watched Carly play a lot of basketball.
Uh-huh.
What's it like? What's the difference in watching your kids play and watching your grandkids play?
The difference is, whenever my kids played, at the end of the day, they came home, we'd go back over the game. And I'd talk to them about, maybe you should have done this, or what did you do wrong? And, we'd have a big discussion.
Yeah.
Now, good game, good job, loved it.
Yeah.
Never, hardly ever say anything.
Yeah.
I asked them what they thought about the game, and that's it. And I don't talk and say you should have done this or should have done that like I did my kids, or what they thought that they should have done. We don't do that. I mean, it's so enjoyable to me, because when my kids played, I was like tense all the time about they need to make sure they do this right or whatever.
Yeah. And another difference is you sit in your lawn chair and there's usually an FCA guy sitting in the grass beside you, bothering you the whole time.
Yeah. And I like that.
Okay, so you get the job at Sulphur. How long did you stay here, principal and assistant coach at Sulphur?
I was 5 years at Dixon.
Yeah.
13 years at Conowall.
Yeah.
I was high school principal here 13 years.
Yeah.
Now, hold on to that 13.
Okay.
Then, after 30 years in Oklahoma, I took a principal job in Whitesboro, Texas. I wanted that Texas money.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go deep into Texas to get it.
Yeah.
So you go south of Medill, as soon as you cross the river, that's
Whitesboro right there.
And so that's, And so I had bought this house when we moved to Sulphur.
Yeah.
And we knew we were coming back, so I never sold it. I bought another house, down there. But I was there 14 years.
14 years in Whitesboro.
14 years at Whitesboro as a principal.
And kind of started
Loved
an Oklahoma pipeline down there too.
My second year as high school principal, I started out as junior high principal.
Yeah.
And then they wanted me to move to high school. And I tried to talk them out of it because I loved that job. I had 5 through 8, fifth graders through 8th grade. I loved it. But anyway, they wanted to move me to high school, and I tried to talk them out of it. And then they offered some stuff, and I finally took it. And after the first year, I got rid of 9 teachers. Because I walked in there on the first day, and I said, guys, there's things that we've got to do to help the kids.
Yeah. Because
to me, it's always been kids first. I need to tell you a story about why I say kids first.
Okay.
But anyway, I ended up getting rid of that, and then I started hiring Okies, and the superintendent didn't care.
Yeah.
He says, if they can teach and be good to the staff and kids, I want them.
Yeah.
Man, I hired some good people. I did a lot of husband and wife things.
Yeah.
Shelby Morgan and his wife.
Yeah.
You know Shelby?
Yeah.
I hired him, and he ended up becoming a principal later there at Whitesboro.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ed Miller, great friend of mine. And anyway, he great football coach in Oklahoma. Anyway, I hired him and his wife, and they were down there, and some others.
Yeah.
But
one of my favorite people, Kirk Lefevers.
Kirk, I hired Kirk.
down
Sure did. Sure did. Oh, Kirk.
Yeah. He's one of my favorite. I mean, there's a lot of good people from Tishomingo, but Kirk's way up the list for me.
Yeah, he was good. He did a great job down there.
Yeah. Still doing a great job. I've been trying to.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I've been harassing him. You know, because for a while, he was saying, you know, if we get Paisley down there, we could, you know, do some pretty good golf teams. I said, well, if we get Kirk up here, you know, we could.
I wanted to go back.
Yeah,
tell you
kids
about
first.
One of the things that made me realize that you got to listen to the kids first.
Okay.
I was coaching in Dixon, my first job. I've been there about 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I you know, I didn't want to say I coached like my high school coach, but it was kind of sort of him and some other people I saw. I really wasn't sure. But anyway, I'm down there and I start the program. And after a couple of years, I had this kid move in. 6'4", 265, and could run. And he was good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who he is. Jerry Winchester. You ever seen his name up Oklahoma State?
Yeah, absolutely.
I coached him in high school.
The Winchesters, that's the lineage that's still playing in the NFL today.
Yes. Yeah. And Jerry.
Where would that, to James, what would that have been?
James, David, an uncle.
Okay.
Jerry's his uncle.
Okay.
Well, Jerry was a starter.
Yeah.
And we're having two-a-days. School hadn't started, you know, two-a-days. Back then you did that.
Yeah.
And starter, and I'm looking around. He's not out there. We start practice, and I'm ticked. And it was hot, you know how that goes.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We're up there on top of that hill there at Dixon.
Yeah.
Finally had a field.
At the same spot?
At the same spot.
That is awesome.
And anyway, we were going through all this kind of stuff, and then here he comes. I see him walking. I thought, his dad dropped him off at school. The football field's up here, school's down there, and I thought, well, his dad dropped him off school. You know, he wasn't driving yet.
Yeah.
And he walked up there and went into our facility and got dressed, came out on the football field. As soon as he did, I blow the whistle, gather everybody in, and Jerry's standing right there by me. I start in on him, and I'm ripping him. This is the team, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he says, but coach. And I'd start in again. About the third time, he said, but coach. And I'm just ripping him. About the third time, he says, what, Jerry? What? He said, coach, I was working today. And I said, well, you work every day, but you always make practice. And he says, coach, it's fixing to rain. And, you know, it started getting a little cloudy.
Yeah.
And he was hauling hay and stuff.
Yeah.
And he says, the guy he's working for wanted to get all the hay in. And he says, no. And he was the one that brought him to football practice. He says, I need to stop. We're going to start practice. I don't need to miss practice. I need to get up there. I need to be on time.
Yeah.
And the guy says, no, I'm not leaving. He said, you just need to stay here and work. And Jerry gets off the tractor and says, I quit. Now,
oh, no.
they were like everybody else. They didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
He walked 8 miles to school.
Oh,
So from
goodness.
then on, I said, you know what, Rendell? Listen to the kid first, and then make your decision.
Yeah.
And so I did that. From that point on, anytime a kid and I had an issue, I let them talk first.
Yeah.
I let them talk first. When I came to Sulphur, a teacher would bring me a kid for discipline. I didn't even require them to stay. A lot of them would, a lot of them wouldn't.
Yeah.
They'd say,
Just
these
kick
yours,
'em
Mr.
off with
Cole.
you and take off.
And the first thing I do is tell me what happened. Because a lot of times the teacher wouldn't even say, Mr. Cole, here, they just trusted me.
Yeah.
You know, I'd listen to them and thought, you know what? And they'd talk about it, and pretty soon I'd say, what'd you do wrong? And they'd say, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the way I did. And that was called Jerry Winchester.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
And I regret that we didn't have cell phones back then, because like Cleet and Corey, they get these old ball players' numbers, they'll call them every so often.
Yeah.
And I have a few that have seen me through the years the Fixicos from Cornwall, that I've got their phone numbers, they'll call me. And, well, Jerry is one of them.
Yeah.
He got my phone number, and he'll call me every so often. Now I'll call him every so often.
Yeah. That's awesome.
On
That's a great story on the influence not only coaches can have on kids, but kids can have on coaches.
Yep.
I mean, that changed how you coached.
It.
I usually ask advice you would give to a new coach, but that's really good advice right there.
So, hey, you need to listen to your people, trust them, make decisions off of all the information that you've got.
Yeah.
But get the kids' information in there too.
Yeah. That's great stuff. So, we're about an hour in already. Can you believe that?
About what?
We're about an hour in already.
Oh,
Can you believe that?
I pray for our safety, and I pray for our military and all this kind of stuff. And you read in the Bible and you hear about all these things, and eventually there's going to be another world conflict.
Yes, sir.
I just don't want it to be my kids and my grandkids going through it.
Yeah.
Me, I'm not worried about me, but I worry about them. I worry about these guys that are going to have to, and I'm thinking, like here was Caden here a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
we just talked and that thing came on, I turned the channel.
Yeah.
I turned the channel.
I do too.
It's just a situation where I just don't want to have to go through that, but eventually we're going to.
So speaking of praying, and I know where your faith is, and I go to church with your kids, with two of them. How did your faith affect your coaching and your administrating and your teaching?
We were one of the first ball clubs around that say a prayer after a game. Now you're talking about 1971 through when I coached, and I even had people when I came to Sulphur, and I had one in Cornwall make threats that you can't pray before a game, and they were going to call some organization on me, and I said, do it.
Yeah, call them.
Go do it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But we're going to continue. But we that's just something that and you see your kids, get them in a circle and talking to them and all that, and then you say a prayer. You take notice of it.
Yeah.
The fans do, and everybody else does, and they're thinking there may be something to that. Somebody be like, there may be something there.
Yeah, it's carried over to your family. I can tell you, because I spoke at RFCA last night here in Sulphur.
Yeah.
And I had to follow the legend of Robert Thomas. He spoke last week. And
great.
He's such a good guy and such a good communicator, which made him a great coach.
Yes.
But he's such a good communicator, and we kind of went off of what he talked about last night. But one thing I noticed is your grandsons, all of them, as someone's speaking, look up, look the person in the eye, pay attention. They sit there, they listen, they're taking it in. And I think that's just from you, Coach, of how you raised your kiddos and how they're raising their kiddos.
Yeah, their mother. Their mother.
Okay, so I've got a couple more questions.
Sure.
I know that I got this interview today because it was been raining and the golf course wasn't open. Where's your favorite place to go play golf?
Besides Sulphur.
Yeah, besides Sulphur Hills. The Davis Sulphur Elks. Or is it the Sulphur Davis Elks? I don't know.
When I was in Texas, I was there 14 years, and you could drive within 30 minutes and hit about 8 or 9 golf courses. My favorite in Texas was down at south, and I just like where you can just go in there, pay your money, they're friendly to you,
Yes.
get a cart, and not have to worry about anything. But these people that send out people to check on you and stuff like that. But there's some great golf courses down there.
Yeah.
And I played many of them.
Right now, how many holes do you get to play a week?
I'm down to golfing once a week.
Are you?
I could golf more, but every time I turn around, I got a ball game, and a lot of it's driving.
Yes,
so
sir. Yeah.
I'm down to once a week is all.
What are the odds we get a bunch of microphones and we go either into the back room there at Sulphur, we go down to Tishomingo in the back room, and we get to your big golf group on a podcast?
If you were to do that, people would have to turn the volume down. There'd be so many laughs and there'd be so many people cackling. It would be unbelievable. It'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, Paisley was out here playing one day and she saw y'all. She said, "I already know that's going to be you and your buddies when y'all get old."
Hey, it's a nice place to be. We'll have anywhere from 8 to 12 playing.
That's awesome.
As long as you let people play through you, they come up on you. And like when the high school golfers are, we stay away from them because they need to practice. So we just let them do their thing. And they're real nice. Their coaches have them trained right. They're doing good.
Get out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. This is one of my favorite questions I love to ask, and I ask Cleet, so you've heard it before, but how would you like to be remembered as a coach?
Well, I think you've already heard one of my first of all is listen to the kids.
Yeah.
I want to be remembered as I listen to them. And then from my assistant coaches, that they were a part of it, that they understood that they contribute. I needed them to understand that hey, you're just as important as I am as a head coach. You've got things you've got to do. And we would have coaches meetings and we'd divide them up, divide up part, the offensive line, all that kind of stuff. And then every time we'd have a meeting, I'd let every coach talk. Yeah. Tell me about a problem you got going on with some of your kids. Tell me what's good with your kid. And they'd just tell me. So listen to people. That's what you've got to do.
Yeah.
That's a first thing.
Yeah. Well, I think you've instilled that in the two that I get to hang around.
I hope so.
So, well, awesome. Well, that's right at an hour. So thank you so much for
no problem.
letting me come by and just invade your patio and set all this stuff up. And now I know where the fridge is. So
yep, hit that on the way out. I mean, that's the way you do. You come in the garage and stop at the fridge.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you so much.
You bet.
What I tell y'all, I mean, we barely scratched the surface. I know I say that all the time, but me and Coach Cole literally stayed there talking for an hour after I got done. So we're definitely going to have to get episode 2. Coach Cole, Jolene, thank y'all so much for letting me come to your house, sit out on the patio, and do this interview. I think it's just, I think it's awesome. I think it'll reach a lot of people, and thank you for doing what you do, and what you've done for so many years. So, hey, guys, I got a new spot in Sulphur, Bromide. They're going to be my official clothing sponsor. So if you go in there and buy anything at Bromide, me and you going to be dressing alike. They got all kinds of men's clothes, women's clothes, candles. So, I mean, you just name it. They got it all. If you want to look good and smell good, Bromide's where to go in Sulphur, right there downtown. So go check them out. All right, y'all. That was week 8 or episode 8. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. We're going to do it again next week. Hey, remember, I work for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and our mission in FCA is to reach every coach and lead every coach, every athlete into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ and his church. And if you want to support what we do, my link is below this show in the notes. I would love for you to come on to my team. Thank you so much for even considering it. Hey, we'll be back. We're a little busy right now with FCA, so it might be a week or two, but we'll be back. In the meantime, remember, God loves you. We love you. Now go make a difference this week. See ya.